Well, good afternoon. John here. You see these cloudy skies? Look at it. It's gray all around me. There are no features. There's no mountains. There's no trees that are visible. So, the artistry of the public theater that is nature and life and civilization. So, Thomas Jefferson's weather forecast today is wet. It's high 40s. There's no wind to speak of. It's supposed to rain any minute, so if you see me just take off and start trotting, you'll know why. And I heard a fun story today, which is that some Republicans trying to brown nose Trump in Congress proposed to rename the Reagan airport, rename it the Trump airport. And Jerry Connolly, who's a member of Congress in Northern Virginia, an Irishman to the bone, said, well, if he's going to name something, maybe he should name a prison. Well, we name battleships. Why not name something that's most suited to his lack of character? A prison. Anyhow, it's not going to happen, so don't worry about it. And a lot of the angst of the day is the uncertainty of what's going to happen. And I think we anticipate what should happen because of the grief we receive and the dread we feel each day when Trump does his bad act of the day, his offensive act, his unbelievable act until you've seen it. And we find it to be unbelievable and crass and so on and so forth because we're built to be more civilized than we realize. And I realize how much more square I was about respecting laws, even those that I think should be challenged, for fear of the chaos that follows. And we're in that chaos. So it's an experience that we've all had, and it has effects on us because we have built into us, hardwired, what we think is a definition, a standard of civilization. And this guy, like the wolf on the fold, to borrow from an old poem, he believes that it is all in service to him. Unlike Alexander the Great, he's not going to cover the entire world, but somewhat like Alexander the Great, who is believed to have killed his fathers so he could lead the Macedonians. We have Trump, who basically ran his brother into the ground so he could accede to his father's empire of bad houses and discriminatory practices. So let's talk a little bit about the news. The Middle East, we haven't mentioned in a few days. The World Central Kitchen Aid went there to give solace and help and food and caring. And what happened? They were killed by, 7 I believe, were killed by an Israeli airstrike. And Israel say, oh, it wasn't intended. They don't give a damn what they do. And all those people out there who think it's choosing one side or the other, I'm against killing both sides. And what Israel is doing is dead wrong, and we should just cut off their damn arms because we're part of it. I don't know. Surprised my own reaction, but I guess it's enough is enough. We either stand for something or we're as corrupt as everybody else on this goddamn planet. Okay, so we'll calm down a little bit maybe. And then there are people talking on the air today about finding common ground. There is no common ground with the maggots. None. Zero. They lie about everything. They mislead about their intentions. They do the crassest thing in terms of violating other people's rights. And you're going to find common ground? No. What we have to do is outnumber them. When I was a party chair, we were going to have an election. And some were concerned that a group that was not popular was going to come and overwhelm our election. And they said, what are we going to do? Like they wanted to exclude them. Some did. And it was only a thought. They probably wouldn't have done it, but they were looking around for a manner to proceed going forward. And I said, it's really simple. We get more votes, and we can do that. And we know where they are. And we did, and we prevailed. In other words, we did it by the book. We did it by the right way. Now, some think if you're an amateur at deception, you can catch up to the bad guy. You can't. You have to find the method to do what you want to achieve from things that fit who you are, your character, your good character. If you become like them, you're lost. And it sounds like a Disney movie to say it, but it's absolutely true. So, 30 to 40% of American citizens are cut off from the promise of this country, from the manner to go forward, from the candidate who can do it, from the democracy that is at the core of our belief system, which makes it weak in the sense that you have access to the ways to bring down a democracy. And that's what Trump is doing. So we have to do better. We can do it better. And here's the thing. When we talk about law, we're talking about a choice because we're talking against violence. Law is our compromise on the most important things in a civilization to have it done without violence. Not always quick enough, not always thorough enough, not always satisfactory. And we see what happens when the law itself is way out of touch with the people. On the other hand, what do we have? We have violence and bloodshed and hurt and pain, psychological distress, sociological disjoinder. That's what we're concerned about. And who's involved in that? That's Trump. So we have the law or we have crime. We have a republic or we have a monarchy. And that's what's on the table. And as April the 15th approaches, which is the day for Trump's first trial, the one in Manhattan, you can expect to see the most desperate acts by Trump. And it's no surprise in recent days he's been repeating his thing about there's going to be bloodshed. There may not be another election after this one. So he's talking like the dictator he wants to be. And we have to crush this as much as we did his last election, as much as we put all those people in jail for his efforts to overcome our government that he proposes to free if he is elected. Pretty amazing. And, you know, there are small and large signs that this chaos is occurring because we're still not doing enough. Why has no judge put Trump in a room that's a jail cell for what he's done? Why? What are they afraid of? You know, you see it as a kid. I myself stayed back from a couple of fights as a kid until people who were so confident that they could take me, you know, started bothering my younger brother. And my face pumped red with blood, and I fought these guys, and that was bad too because I kind of like fighting. So, but we have to fight, and this is much more important than a bunch of kids arguing over nonsense. So we have to be on top of this. Now there is a case in which the Attorney General of the state of New York, she was attending a proceeding in Brooklyn. And what happened? They booed her. And who booed her? The fire department booed her as she was passing out awards to people. Now, the New York judges have been the best in terms of perhaps the context as well as the courage to do what's necessary. And the public servants in the AG's office, in the DA's office, in the state, not the federal government, which hasn't done a damn thing. The state has been holding us to that line of following the law and doing what's right. So the Brooklyn judge summoned the people into his chambers, and he said he wanted this dealt with. He said, this is really simple. I know what this is. I've seen it my whole life in New York. This is racism. Racism. So, what kind of America do we want to live in? There are people out there that say the damnedest things about why they want Trump. These are misanthropes. These are self-aggrandizing, worthless individuals who have no right to destroy a system that favors them even as they seek to destroy it. Because this is entirely an emotional, impulsive, cultish attack on our government. And we've seen things like this before, and we've seen government officers fail. But the center of responsibility and of action and of possibility is in New York. And so, encourage all the people that you could have contact with who are public servants and tell them to show some courage, or we'll see that they're unemployed. Don't vote for a single Republican for anything. Don't believe this nonsense about common ground. It doesn't exist. Don't feel beholden to Robert Kennedy, who betrays his father's promise by pretending to be a better person to be elected, when instead all he's doing is playing the shill for Trump, hoping to narrow the margin by which Biden runs for office so that it can favor Trump. There are enemies under every stone in every direction, but we have some strong people fighting. We have some situations that favor winning the republic back from this group of criminals. But don't fool yourself. These guys are taking our inaction as a basis to have bloodthirsty experiences, threats of force and violence, coercion, to try to tear down our system of justice, such as it is in New York. It's because otherwise, Trump will have been convicted, and that alone may defeat him, not to mention the custody that he might have in Jerry Connolly's prison that they named after Trump. So, and Holly and I were dealing with our situation. I think she's going to come home tomorrow, but it's because she's going to take medications and so forth as an outpatient. They've gone through a prescription they go through to diminish the chances of infection and rejection. But since we started with a virus, we have to deal with that. And I'm not sure that there are the tools to tell you whether you have that or not, or which else may be the cause of the detections that they have. So we are hopeful. We've been through these wars before, and we don't know how much of an emergency this is, but we're doing all the things that we've always done that were advised by this sharp and genius transplant team at Johns Hopkins. So it's now beginning to rain, so I think this is an appropriate time for me to hide my camera and march on, because I'm kind of dressed for the weather. So with any luck, I'll see you on from our Cathedral of Trees tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.